Yo, what's going on, you guys, and welcome back to another episode of Tunnel Vision Talk. We're bringing something new to you guys. It's a Friday night. We're both having fun, and we came up with this list of start, bench, and trade. Now, this goes from, it's generally about the best players in their position. We went quarterback, running back, receiver, tight end, all the offensive line positions, defensive line, linebackers, cornerbacks, and safeties. So if you're ready, I'm ready. Let's hop on into this. So
Yeah.
first up, we got to do the quarterback position. So the three guys I have for this are Kyler Murray, Lamar Jackson, and Justin Herbert. I'm interested to see what you think about this one.
Yeah. So when you first told me, I kind of thought about like youth. And to me, when you look at Herbert comes with youth and he comes with big arm strength. It's just something that Kyler has, but Lamar doesn't necessarily have. So to me, but when you look at overall quarterback talent, I say you gotta start Lamar. But it's tough to me. I'm gonna say start Lamar,
I think
bench Herbert.
you're thinking of the wrong position here. This is not the running back position.
No, shut up. Yeah, start Lamar because I don't know. I think I'm starting Lamar. I'm benching Herbert and cutting Kyler.
So
Trading Kyler, not cutting. Yeah.
for me, I'm gonna start Herbert. I liked what I saw in his rookie year. He really only had Keenan Allen to throw to and Hunter Henry, but he didn't have too many weapons on that team. So I think if you give him an improved base of weapons, like he's gonna be an amazing quarterback. If you put him on the Chiefs, I think he would take them to a Super Bowl. Obviously Mahomes will because he's Mahomes, but I think if you put Herbert in a situation like that, then he's gonna thrive just like any
Yeah.
other guy. Now, for me, benching, I'm gonna say Lamar as well. Well, not as well,
Yeah.
but I'm gonna trade Kyler. But for Lamar, I just like Lamar's presence on the team. Like he's a good leader. He leads the Ravens well. I'm not in love with his arm talent, but I love what he can do on the ground, and he's a great throw on the wrong guy. So if you needed to bring in a backup quarterback for a running situation, you could bring in Lamar for those. Kyler is too small, and his durability is still a concern for me, so I would
Yeah.
have to trade him away. Next up, we get the running back round. This is three of the best guys in the position. I got Christian McCaffrey, Dalvin Cook, and Alvin Kamara. Now, when I was coming up with this list, I was thinking, who are three guys that are pass catchers? They can run the ball well. And they're really just their team's workhorse. And I think that's what you get with these three. Because with Cook and Kamara, they do have good backups behind them. And so does CMC. Mike Davis had a great year last year, and now in Atlanta, I'm excited to see what he can do with that
Yeah.
offense.
Yeah.
But for me, starting is, these are all tough choices, and I think it's going to shock everyone who I trade. But I'm gonna start Dalvin Cook. I liked what I saw from him on the ground last year, and if we're talking strictly running backs, he's the best pure runner on this list. Like we don't have a Derrick Henry, so we don't have that to judge it on. If we're doing pure runner, it's Dalvin Cook out of these three. And for me benching, I'm gonna have Alvin Kamara. I'm trading CMC, but it's because I like Alvin Kamara's pass catching ability. I've watched him all the way from when he was a volunteer in Tennessee. I know what he can do, and I just like his abilities a bit more than CMC because I think CMC's receiving abilities are inflated by the fact that he's on the Panthers. And they had like Kyle Allen as their quarterback for a bit.
Yeah.
Obviously, he was going to be catching a lot of dump off passes, getting that 1,000 to 1,000 season. no discredit to him. I mean, that's outstanding work that you have to do that. But I just like Cook and Kamara as running backs all around more than him.
Yeah, I'm gonna have the same list, and this is not because of what you said. I think you can get a lot more value out of CMC in a trade. And I don't want to base lists because we're doing start bench trade instead of start bench cut. I don't want to base off of that. But you're getting a lot more out of McCaffrey than you would for the other two, because he is that all around guy. But when you look at if it's between Cook and Kamara, Cook has a lot more strictly power to hand the ball off to him. Kamara could move out and play receiver if you wanted him to, and he'd be just fine. I think he would. I just think if you're talking, like you said, strictly running backs, you're going to get more out of Dalvin Cook than you would out of Kamara. And there's no hate to Kamara. I just think Dalvin Cook can plow through people like Kamara can. Kamara can juke all day. I just think Dalvin's got much stronger legs, much more of a bigger build than Kamara does. So I'm starting Cook and benching Kamara. And like I said, trade McCaffrey just for the value. And I have Cook over McCaffrey on my list of running backs anyway.
Yeah.
So that's just me.
All right, next up we got receivers, and these are all 2019 draftees. We got DK, AJ, and Terry. So obviously, we got a bit of this going on with AJ Brown. This is our only Titans player on the list, thankfully. Our Titans bias will not be showing out as much. But I'm not going to ride the Titans bias too hard on this one. I'm going to go with Terry McLaurin as my starting guy, just because I love his speed. He has great hands, and he's been playing with some subpar quarterbacks in Washington. If you put him in the Titans system with Tannehill, that's what I'm going to base this on. If you put these three with Tannehill, I think Terry would do the best, because if you put him on the play action that we give AJ Brown, I think McLaurin would perform better just because he has more speed, but he's still a big-bodied guy. Now I'm going to bench AJ and trade Metcalf just because I just think AJ's better than Metcalf. He has better route running. He's more agile. He doesn't have the speed. And yes, DK is a freak of nature when it comes to speed and his build. But I just think that there's more to that, being a receiver, than just having speed and a big body. Like, you need to be able to control your body and have good hands too.
Yeah, so I like what you said about putting them all with one quarterback, and not necessarily Tannehill, but just put them on with one quarterback and who would do the best with them. And to me, you have to put him with a different quarterback than, like, I'm not gonna put him with Tannehill because obviously AJ plays with Tannehill. I'm gonna say put him with Tua. Put him all with Tua. I think if you're gonna have one that's gonna produce the most, it's gonna be Terry. So I'm gonna start Terry just because pure speed, and he's got, like you said, below average quarterbacks he's played with his whole career. And I honestly think that if he's gonna shine, it's gonna be this year with Curtis Samuel with him, and with Ryan Fitzpatrick, major upgrade. Even if they don't take a quarterback, which I've seen that they are actually willing to trade up. Mm-hmm. If a quarterback slides to 7 or 8, they're willing to trade up there, mainly with Trey Lance. But I honestly think Terry McLaurin can easily be the best out of these three if he had a Russell Wilson or a Ryan Tannehill with him. Mm-hmm. And then I'm gonna. This one's hard for me. Between AJ and DK, just because of DK's size is the only thing that's the question. But Titans bias comes into play a little bit, so I'm gonna what the heck? I'm gonna bench I'm gonna bench AJ, cut DK. Same reason. I think there's more to just having that. I mean, and a lot of it comes with Derrick Henry too. Like, I mean, he's big and he's fast. Like, so it's like, wow, he's great. He's freaking nature. Blah blah blah. It's like, well, he doesn't have hands for crying out loud. So what does a big body do if you can't catch the ball? So I think AJ's got a big enough body. He's got great hands. Route running's there. So I'm taking AJ over DK. So yeah, start bench, trade, McLaurin, AJ, and DK.
All right. This next one, I'm going to let you introduce it. It's the tight end position, and probably, I would say, our most controversial yet.
Yeah. So it's Travis Kelce, George Kittle, and Darren Waller. So to me, I like George Kittle's open field. I say like awareness more than I like Travis Kelce. And I think if you're looking at blocking standpoint, I'd rather have George Kittle any day. So that for that reason, I'm starting George Kittle. And then to me, it comes down to Kelce and Waller. Now Waller is one of the guys that I feel like is a product of the system. You've got Derek Carr there, who's I feel like pocket collapses. He can't run out of the way, so he's looking for big bodies, and they have a lot of that in Vegas. I almost said Oakland. With Josh Jacobs is big, Darren Waller's big. I think you've got to. It's tough to me because Travis Kelce's with the best team in the league, no question. He's been there. Patrick Mahomes is going to make anyone look great. So this one is tough. I'm going to go ahead and say bench Kelce and cut or trade Waller. But I honestly think those could flip.
Yeah.
I think you have to start. Good grief! I think you have to start Kittle, but I think you could flip Waller and Kelce. Just like I said, I feel like Waller does shine a little bit in that system.
Yeah.
Because he's that main piece there, but I think he could be good somewhere else too. I think you can flip him, but Travis Kelce is too good to put behind him.
So for me, this isn't who I think the best is. This is honestly just my personal preference, and I do think that he is part of the system and like a product of it, and that's why he is as good as he is. But I'm gonna start Darren Waller. I love his speed, his size, his physicality. I mean, to me, he's everything you want in a tight end. He doesn't have the Kittle yards after catch. He doesn't have Kittle's blocking either. But what he does have is just pure ability to go up and get the ball. Out of all of these three, I would trust Waller in a jump ball situation.
Yeah.
With that being said, I'm going to bench Kittle and trade Kelce. I know a lot of people think that Kelce is the best tight end of the NFL, and I'm not gonna say that you're wrong because I think it's close. But I'm not a huge fan of him just because he has a whole bunch of weapons beside him.
Yeah.
Kittle and Waller I would say Waller probably has the least amount of weapons around him, but Kittle isn't too far behind because a lot of the guys are hurt in San Francisco.
Right.
But I think that Waller to me shines the most out of the three. And I would rather have Kittle's blocking abilities and yards after catch abilities than Kelce's my team makes me look good abilities.
Right. That's what I was saying with Mahomes, with him and Tyreek Mahomes. He had Sammy Watkins last year. Those guys are going to make you look good regardless of how good you are. So
yeah,
I think that comes into the part where I was saying you could flip Waller and Kelce in mind.
All right, next up we got offensive tackle. We have three of the best in the game. We got David Bakhtiari, Trent Williams, and we get the newcomer, Tristan Wirfs. This is an interesting one because Wirfs only allowed one sack in all of his games played this year. Trent Williams just got himself the new contract that gets him 0.01 million more than David Bakhtiari's contract. Obviously David Bakhtiari, one of the boys. So for me, this is pretty tough because you got a couple of pass protectors, and then to me, Tristan Wirfs is a power guy, but he can still pass protect with the best of them with the 1 sack in all of his games played. So I'm gonna start. I'm gonna start David Bakhtiari just because when you are able to make a QB look like the MVP of the league, um, I mean, the amount of time that Rodgers was able to get this year was one of the main reasons why he won MVP. And I'm gonna bench Tristan Wirfs because of the same reason. They let Tom Brady stay healthy in the pocket to get them to that Super Bowl. And I'm gonna trade Williams just because he's kind of on the older side. Injuries are a concern for me. It's not to say that he isn't one of the best. I would say he's top 5 tackles. That's why he's on this list. But I just think that these other two are better than him, and I would prefer them.
Yeah, so I'm honestly gonna say when you look at I mean, a big part of tackles to me is experience. And when you look at, like you said, Williams has done it. He's been there. He got paid, and he's there. Like like you said, top 5, and he wouldn't be on this list if he wasn't. They're all top 5. But with that being said, I'm starting Wirfs. Now, when you look, to me, I feel like Wirfs can have a better career than these two other guys have had. Like you said, allowed 1 sack. He's strong. He'll move people if he wants. I think you can easily say that Wirfs could have a crazy good career. He'll have at least 2 more years in front of Brady to show that. And he's got a lot of help down there in Tampa. They had one of the better lines this year. But I think Wirfs is a majority of the reason that Brady is healthy right now. And that's part of the reason that Brady even went there in the first place. I knew when Brady left New England, Brady wasn't going to go somewhere that he's going to get hurt, because he doesn't get hurt. That's one reason why he's played for 21 years is he's not getting hurt. So I think I'm going to start him. I'm going to start Wirfs. I'm going to bench Bakhtiari because, like you said, when you make a QB look like the MVP, you're doing something right, which not taking anything away from Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers is the MVP if he has an average left tackle there. I feel like Rodgers is one of the older quarterbacks that can still scramble around and make throws. But yeah, I'm benching Bakhtiari, like you said, trading. I keep saying cut. Trent Williams, but not saying anything away from him. I just think he's not as I want to say built, but as fast as the other two guys are. He's bigger. And I don't think if someone gets by him, he's not gonna be able to reach over. He's not as quick as them. Wirfs can do it all. But yeah, I think you have to start Wirfs, in my opinion, just because of his youth. It comes along with that. So
All right, next up we got the offensive guard section, and we have 3 more of the best at their position. We got Quenton Nelson, Brandon Sheriff, and Wyatt Teller. Now, Wyatt Teller broke onto the scene last year. It really surprised a lot of people on a very overachieving Cleveland Browns offensive line with the addition of Conklin and the really breakout success of guys like J.C. Treader. And their line was a big reason why they got to the playoffs. With that being said, I'm going to trade Teller just because I love Sheriff's ability, and Quenton Nelson's the best guard in the game. I'm starting Quenton Nelson just because he is a people mover. if you see Quinn Nelson running towards you at full speed, you're gonna get out of the way.
Yeah.
Quinn's clearing holes. He can pass protect with the best of them. I mean, that's who I would want protecting my quarterback. And then I'm gonna put Sheriff second in the bench spot just because he was really kind of the anchor of that Washington O line last year. That I mean, I don't want to say got them to the playoffs just because they were 7-9.
NFC least, right? Like,
But I mean, like he was a big reason why that offense didn't fall apart. Because I mean, there wasn't a whole lot of hope, and he kind of kept them going. And I mean, he's a step below Nelson in my opinion, but he's still there. Like he's an amazing player.
yeah, I have the same list as you. I feel like this is going to be one of the easier ones to put in a row. Like you said, I think Wyatt Teller is the talent is there. If guys like Quentin Nelson were in the league, he would shine a lot more. But Quentin Nelson is like a once in a generational. I mean, he's the best guard, or no doubt. Like I'm saying Carson Wentz is lucky to have him in front of him, especially with his career he's had. Just injuries and injuries and injuries. Good for him to go there. Behind Quentin Nelson. That's great for him. Sheriff, he'll be paid next year big time. As long as he doesn't get hurt this year, he'll be paid. I think he's, again, Quentin Nelson isn't there, and he's the best tackle in the guard in the league. Yeah, he's been overlooked, I feel like, a lot of his career too. But he's good. I think with the fact that the Browns O-line was where it was this year is the reason that Wyatt Teller wasn't like, oh my gosh, he's there. I mean, I don't know how many sacks he allowed, but what I'm saying is, like, they had a really good O-line. When you have better alignment, you don't, or any position, you don't get recognition. I think it's hard to rank guards anyway, but when you have the best one, and that kind of contradicts itself in anyway, but I just think like when you have, I mean, the kind of guy that Quentin Nelson is, it makes it a little bit easier. So.
All right, next up we got center. This is again one of the harder ones, I would say, because I mean these are the top three at the position in my opinion. I'll let you give your feedback as well, but Rodney Hudson, Corey Linsley, and Ryan Jensen. My apologies. I mean, I'll let you give your thoughts first.
Yeah. I'm going to go ahead and start Corey Linsley. I told him this before we started this. I think the biggest miss in free agency was not the Packers not re-signing Corey Linsley. I think he is one of the guys, like you said, you had Bakhtiari, the main reason why Aaron Rodgers looks so good. Corey Linsley is right there with him. I think he's been that guy for Rodgers. And to lose him is crazy. But I'm starting Linsley. I'm gonna bench Jensen. Just because I haven't seen much from him. So there's not much to put him above Linsley to me. And then trade Rodney Hudson. And I know it's hard to say trade because of his age, but at the same time, he's been solid his whole career, so there's no reason to not.
Yeah.
But which is why he's on this list. It's kind of hard to not put him on here just because he's been up there the whole time he's been in the league. But yeah, I'm gonna cut him. I mean, trade him. And then, like I said, Jensen's there at a bench just because I haven't seen enough from him to put him at start. But I know he's good enough to be there behind Lindsay.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna have the same list as you just because I was close to putting Jensen at start just because of what I saw from him in the Super Bowl. I mean, he was going up against Chris Jones, one of the better guys at D tackle, and he didn't allow Chris Jones back there almost at all. I mean, not on run plays, not on pass plays. I mean, he was a beast. But at the same time, Corey Linsley was doing that kind of stuff all year and making Rodgers with the same thing I was saying about Bakhtiari. He was giving Rodgers time. He was helping Rodgers out. He was helping Aaron Jones out get the contract that he got. Kind of shot himself in the foot by doing that
Mm-hmm.
because now he's not in Green Bay anymore. He did get a good deal for the Chargers. It's going to help out Herbert immensely
Yeah,
because the amount of time that Herbert's going to have now and not having to run for his life in fear of injuries, it's going to help him elevate his game even further.
especially if they
And
draft a tackle. I mean, he'll be
yeah,
great.
which they need to.
Yeah.
And with Hudson, again, same thing you said. He's been solid his whole career, just not at the same level as these two guys to
Yeah.
be started or benched. So that is all we got for offense. Now on to the defensive side of things. We're starting with the three young edge rushers. I know I said defensive end. This is edge rushers in general, outside linebackers, defensive ends, those kind of guys. We got Nick Bosa, Chase Young, and Brian Burns. So for me, I'm starting Chase Young. There's nothing that you can tell me that he's not the best on this list.
Yeah.
I mean, when I was watching the last game of the regular season, which was Eagles and Washington football team, still pains me to say that every time. But I mean, he was a force every single play of the game. I mean, you just looked up and you saw Chase Young and his dreadlocks flopping around in the backfield.
Right.
I mean, on a run play, he has great run block shed. On pass plays, he can get in the backfield almost every play.
Yeah.
Yeah, he does have the rest of that Washington D line, which is amazing to help him out on that and not put him on double teams, yada, yada, yada. But at the same time, you got to respect his game and one on one. And for me, benching, I'm gonna put Brian Burns. This might come as a surprise that I'm trading Nick Bosa, but the injury for Bosa kind of put him where he is for me. And Burns has stayed healthy. He's shown that he's one of the better young edge rushers in the league. And I mean, he was really like the only guy on that Panthers D line. He did have the rookie Derek Brown next to him, and now he has Hassan Reddick next to him. So I'm gonna look out for that Panthers pass rush this year on a Panthers team that should turn it around, in my opinion.
Yeah. So, like you said with Chase Young, he has that extra D line help there. And you could argue the same thing for Brian Burns now this year. But when you saw the production that he had last year, I'm honestly gonna start him. I like him a lot, and I feel like he not even just top like young edge rushers. I have him top 10 in the league. I think he can solidify himself, especially like you said, they added Hassan Reddick. I think their defense is already really, really nasty. They loaded defense this past year. But I think if the Panthers are going to be good this year, it's going to be because of that defense.
Yeah.
I really like Brian Burns. I like his speed. There is some concerns in general with just him. I honestly don't think if he gets hurt, I think Chase Young could easily pass him up. And there's to argue, like you said, that he's even better. But I do think that Washington's front seven is so good that it does help him shine a little bit more. So with that, I'm gonna bench Chase Young, cut Bosa, trade Bosa, whatever. I think injuries and just him not to be the number 2 overall pick, like Chase Young was.
Mm-hmm.
Who's the better number 2? I'm going Chase Young, so I'm gonna take Chase Young.
All right, next up we got the D tackle position. I'm gonna let you start on this one, and we got Kenny Clark, Fletcher Cox, and Cam Hayward. All three guys that are kind of on the older side, kind of do the same thing for their teams. We didn't want to put Aaron Donald on the list because obviously he's going to start best D tackle in the league. We didn't want to put DeForest Buckner or Chris Jones on here because we couldn't find a third person of their caliber. So we did our best to find these three of the same skill set.
Yeah, so this one is probably one of the more tough ones for me. Kenny Clark, I feel like, has a lot of help on that defensive line. Rashawn Gary is one of the more underrated guys. I really like him, but I feel like with the production that Cameron Hayward's had since he's been in the league, I'm gonna go ahead and start Cameron Hayward. And this could be a surprise, but I really, really like him. You don't hear of him much, but that also comes with he's got TJ Watt with him. Lost Bud Dupree. He's had Bud Dupree for the past couple of years with him. So I think he could shine a lot more this year. I feel like without having Bud Dupree there with him, or I don't remember the guy that filled in for Bud when he got hurt last year. But I don't remember it. But yeah, but with that said, I'll take Cameron Hayward to start. I'm gonna go ahead and bench Kenny Clark. Kenny Clark's younger. I'm gonna stick with him. Fletcher Cox declining. Still solid. One of the main guys on that Eagles defensive line besides Brandon Graham, who I also think is very underrated. But they're aging. The Eagles defensive line's aging a lot. Goodness gracious, a lot. So I think it could be due for upgrades very soon. But Cox is getting traded. But yeah, I like Cameron Hayward a lot, so he's starting over Kenny Clark.
All right, so that's a wrong selection. For me, I'm gonna go with Kenny Clark starting just because the work he does as a run stuffer is better than both of these two, I would say. He has inside stuff on Madden 21, so basically just means he's the best player on the list.
Not really how that works.
I mean, it basically translates. He doesn't need to be good in real life. He just needs to be good in the game. So
exactly.
That's why I'm starting him.
If you're not good in the game, you're not good in real life.
Yeah. If I quote Taylor Lewan from Bussin' with the Boys, I don't need to be good in real life. I just need to be good in the game.
Right.
So I'm starting Kenny Clark, all jokes aside, because I mean he gets after the passer and he's able to get back in the backfield on run plays. I'm gonna put Hayward on the bench and I'm gonna trade Cox. Just same reason. Cox is the oldest person on this list. He's declining more than the others. Hayward is still a very solid player, in my opinion, who's another run stuffer, can get after the passer as well, but I just like Clark slightly more than Hayward. So that is why I'm going to have Clark starting over Hayward.
Yeah.
Linebackers, we got more young guys coming at you. Devin White, Roquan Smith, Fred Warner, and I'm going to let you start us off.
Devin White, Roquan Smith, and Fred Warner. To me, and I know we talked about this before we started this recording, I'm starting Devin White, and I think just hear me out. And I don't really care if you agree. I'm just going with what I think. The way that he works in Tampa is the way they need him to work. I think with Lavonte David there to help, which you could argue, I've said this in previous start bench trades, whatever, that people around you makes you look better. Well, don't really care right now because I think Lavonte David helps him a lot. Lavonte is the run stuff there. And I think Devin White is fast and he can change direction and he's one of the better pass defender linebackers in the league. I think he puts himself above the other two because of that. I'm going to bench Fred Warner. I think Roquan Smith hasn't really showed enough to me to be that high of a draft pick. And you could argue that Khalil Mack is there with him. And I feel like they do use Roquan Smith around the edge sometimes, right?
He's a pure field general.
I thought they used him around the edge. Maybe it's just because of his number that I thought because he's 58, right? Or 56, one of the two.
58.
But yeah. But just anyway, I think I'm going to put Fred Warner above him. I think
It's number 4 for
it,
counting at home.
I think it's like 7. I think I'm gonna go ahead and bench Warner and trade Roquan Smith, and I'll let you have the mic because I'm
All
not
right.
gonna.
I'm gonna start Fred Warner. He showed a lot last year. I mean, he's a great pass coverage guy, but he's also an amazing tackler, which I think is overlooked a little when it comes to linebackers. If you're a linebacker, you need to be the best tackler on the field. Rashaan Evans, fun fact, I did not know this. Rashaan Evans had the lowest missed tackle rate
I
of
believe it.
all linebackers. So I mean that's the type of guy you want on the team. Fred Warner, again, another guy with a low missed tackle rate, great in coverage, and that's why I'm gonna start him because he's an all-around great player. For me, I'm gonna bench Roquan Smith and trade Devin White because, like you were saying, what I think about him, I think that he's kind of like you have Levante David next to you, so he's just gonna look better because when you already have one really good middle linebacker and you don't need to do as much heavy lifting, like it's gonna look like you're doing more without actually doing more. And
Yeah.
I'm gonna bench Roquan because he was kind of doing it all for Chicago. Um, I mean, for me, it was just he made a lot of good tackles. He was good in coverage as well, and I just like how he plays out there. When I was watching the Titans game, when we were playing the Bears, I mean, he was all over the place. He was covering Jonnu really well because you just can't throw the ball on him in tight situations because he will make the play and get the interception.
Yeah.
Nothing to discount against Devin White. I still like him as a player, but as long as Levante Davis is there, I don't think he's going to be able to reach his full potential, in my opinion. So next up, we got the cornerbacks, and these are the 3 best right now, in my opinion. Jair, Jalen Ramsey, and Xavier Howard. This, for me, it's tough. I could go really anyone starting because okay, I'm gonna say right now I'm gonna trade Xavier Howard just because he's the oldest out of them, and I think that he has less years to play. If we weren't doing this based on age, I think he might get benched, but he would not start, in my opinion. I'm gonna start Jalen Ramsey. DK Metcalf's father. You don't really hear people say anything like that about Jair. Jalen has the ability to go there and lock up any receiver in the league. He's got the size. Jair's 5'10. That kind of holds against him. Jump ball situations. DK would absolutely sauce up Jair. Um, and using DK as an example, you can give completely different reasoning and that would be fine. But to me, like when you have a fast, tall receiver that is top 15 in the league, like DK, I'm looking at who's going to do the best job covering him. And we've seen time and time again, Jalen Ramsey does the best job. Jalen Ramsey also has a division with DeAndre Hopkins. He has a division with 2 other up and coming stars and Deebo Samuel and Brandon Ayuk. He's got guys that he's got to cover that are the best in the league every time. Him against Davante Adams in the playoffs. Yeah, everyone said, "Oh yeah, Davante beat him." When you watched the game, I mean, I don't think they did, because in my opinion, Jalen locked up Davante. Davante wasn't able to do his usual self and have the big gains that he's used to getting. They had to hit him a lot underneath on that one touchdown. It wasn't even Jalen's fault. It was the other cornerback because he missed his assignment over there. Because Jalen was having to run all over the field because that's how the Packers were scheming to get Davante open. So I love Jalen Ramsey personally. Ever since he was in Jacksonville and we would play him twice a year, it's just his level of play is amazing. He's only going to get better with age. So I'll let you have it.
Yeah, so to me, it's a no question I'm starting Ramsey. But to me, it comes down to, do I bench Jair or do I bench Xavier Howard? So it's like, well, Howard is older. But I feel like when it comes to the Packers situation with Jair, you have Kevin King, who is the most notorious burnt on every single route by a mediocre receiver. Jump ball is not winning the jump ball. Why in the world you brought him back still blows my mind. So when you look at that, it's like, no wonder Jair's so good. Like, it's like, oh wow, Kevin King just got absolutely burnt. Let's put in Jair. Oh, let's put a decent corner on him. So I'm gonna bench Xavier Howard and trade Jair. I'm starting Jalen Ramsey because, like you said, he locked down Devontae Adams. I don't care what anyone says about it. The one touchdown, the red zone touchdown, was, like you said, not his fault. Jalen Ramsey's not even known for red zone touchdowns either, or red zone, like, that's not. Jalen Ramsey will lock someone down. I think he's by far the best corner in the league right now. But like I said, that's not the question. It's do you pick Jair or do you pick Howard? And I'm gonna take Howard over him. Howard has other competition with it, or other corners down in Miami with him, and he still shines. Byron Jones, old. They're both old, but I'd rather have Howard over Jair. So.
All right, last up, we got the safety categories. Now, the safeties we pick are more like box safeties. You could compare them to linebackers. They're strong safeties that play in the box a lot. I mean, one of them is got a nickname. It is a Blitz Boy. So we got Budda Baker, Jamal Adams, and Tyrann Mathieu. To me, it's no question that you trade Budda Baker. I just don't think that he's quite up to the level of Tyrann Mathieu and Jamal Adams yet. I think he's got a great potential in that he can be the best safety in the league eventually, but he's just got a lot. He's got a lot to go. He still needs to get better in pass coverage. Great tackler, but for me, I'm gonna start Jamal. Say what you want about him. I know that he's not an amazing pass coverage guy, but he hits people hard.
Yeah,
I mean,
there's a reason
he
he has Avalanche on Madden. That's all you need.
yeah. Again, he doesn't need to be good in real life. He's good in the game.
Who's starting on your Madden team? Is it Jamal? So he's going number one.
Yeah. Call me MMG, but I mean, Mathieu. To me, it's kind of like tiered, like Adams, Mathieu, Baker. Pretty close.
Yeah.
Because Mathieu is kind of on the smaller side, but he packs a really good punch. Playoffs, 2020 AFC Championship game, Titans Chiefs. Tyrann Mathieu absolutely laid out Corey Davis, a bigger receiver, 6'3". Obviously, I don't know what you're talking about. I did not like watching the game, but I mean, like Tyrann is also an amazing coverage guy. He's probably the best coverage guy out of these three that we listed, which is why he has the edge for Budda Baker. But
Yeah.
Jamal is just better in most categories compared to the other two.
Yeah, so I'm gonna start Jamal. I feel like that's the obvious one there. But I'm actually gonna switch. I like Budda Baker's tackling ability. more than I like. I think Buda Baker is just so good. He's so aggressive, and which could come back to bite you sometimes. But I think, what I do, I think, I really like if you watch his clips. I really like how aggressive he is and how he will not miss one of those tackles, open field tackles on running backs, pitches. He'll go out there and grab his foot, not let go. So I think I'm gonna go ahead and bench Buda, and then trade Matthew. That has nothing to do with me bashing on Tyrann Mathieu. I just think I'd rather have his playmaking ability, Buda's playmaking ability, than the coverage that Tyrann Mathieu has. Tyrann Mathieu, no doubt, hits a lot harder for being such a small guy. And Buda and Tyrann Mathieu were right there along the same size. I just think that I really like how aggressive Buda is. So,
All right, that wraps it up for the star bench trade. I'm gonna be honest, I can't even remember when we started this.
I think it was like around the 13-minute range.
I mean, I feel like it's been a good like 45 minutes.
Yeah.
I can't see a time on Zoom.
Yeah, I didn't know if it told you how long you've been recording.
Mm-hmm. YouTube watchers, thank you for watching.
Yeah.
I mean,
if you're listening anywhere else, thank you for listening.
Yeah.
It's just like
we got other time.
Sure.
So with the draft coming up, we're gonna put a halt to the mock drafts until the Wednesday before the draft. We're gonna do our final mock draft. It'll be mock draft 5.0 for Tunnel Vision Talk, and we just feel like us doing other things is gonna help us bring in more listeners because people don't want to listen to the same thing over and over.
Yeah.
So it's kind of our fault for not realizing that up front after the first 4. So we're gonna look to bring you more things. Maybe over the summer we might throw in another casual podcast, because those are fun to do for us because we just get to talk about things, kind of like Bussin' with the Boys. I think that's kind of what our original idea was when we did it. I think I told you we should do a podcast like Bussin' with the Boys, where they just talk about everyday things. Because I mean, for us, we just like football a lot. So
yeah, that's what I'm saying. I could hold a conversation with football more than I can hold a conversation with how my day at school was. So
yeah, but
there's no such thing as everyday life right now.
Yeah, the life of a Green Hill High School student. I mean, for where I go, you would think that there would be a lot of that, but surprisingly not. I mean, I only have 7 weeks of school left. Well, no, 6 weeks. And
I think I have 6 too. What day do you get out?
I think. Well, I'm exempting some of my final exams, so I think I'm getting out after Monday or Tuesday.
For real?
It'll be the 25th.
See, I don't get out. My last day is June 4th. Because of all the COVID days we had and the hybrid schedule we were on.
Yeah.
The 2 days a week thing.
Well, when did y'all start?
Oh, that's right. August 17th. We didn't start till August 17th. Yeah. They pushed it back 2 weeks. So
yeah, we started
the 1st or 3rd.
Something like that.
Yeah, we usually start on the 1st, but
yeah. I mean, gonna be a senior next year. Sheesh. Man, I can't even think about that because I feel like it wasn't that long ago when I was in your shoes being a freshman. Because I mean, it's just how much I've honestly just matured over high school. Like I
Yeah.
could not have been doing this when I was your age. I would have been making so many jokes. This wouldn't even be tight. Nah, not Titans tunnel vision talk. It wouldn't be that. It'd be Kevin Hart's laughing hour. It'd be how can I make everyone laugh at home, which we tried to do anyways, but
Right.
sometime it doesn't work. So Ravens fans, if you got offended at my Lamar Jackson running back joke earlier, my apologies.
Not apologies. Ravens fans, if you get offended by anything, I don't care. Besides the
sorry.
Colts and the Texans and the Jaguars, Ravens fans are not it. We hooping on TikTok.
Not sorry, Reese's.
All right.
All right. So thank you again for listening or watching. This should be coming out pretty soon, whenever we can get it downloaded, uploaded. So be on the lookout for a podcast next week. Probably Wednesday, maybe. Cause
Wednesday, Thursday, one of the two.
Yeah, I can't do Thursday because I'm going on a college tour next week.
Okay.
Going up and touring Tennessee, so it's been where I've wanted to go all of my life. So hope it goes well, and we'll try our very best to get a podcast out to you sometime next week.
Yeah.
If not on Wednesday, we can do some other day next week. Might be another Friday or Saturday, like you guys have seen before. So just keep your head on a swivel for new podcasts coming out. We're going to try and bring us some new ideas just like this. I hope you enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun doing it because I got to talk about some of the guys who, like, I personally don't talk about a lot. Mainly I'm focused on running backs, quarterbacks, and receivers. Not a whole lot on O-line, D-line, really defense in general. So if you liked it, feel free to let us know at Tunnel Vision Talk on Instagram. Go hit up the TikTok if you haven't. Talon posts on there from time to time.
Man, I forgot about that.
So if you're listening, check out our YouTube channel. We're uploading our podcast now. That's probably all we'll be doing for the foreseeable future. We'll let you know if anything changes. And if you're watching this on YouTube, go check out Anchor. So just we're gonna try to get a guest sometime soon. I'm pretty bad at remembering that. So if you're done, I'm done. So once again, stay safe out there and peace out.
Peace.